The Tonya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan Scandal, by Jessica McBurney. 2018. One of the greatest scandals in sports history is the attack on figure skater, Nancy Kerrigan, in 1994 and the suspicion that surrounded fellow skater, Tonya Harding. In this informational text, Jessica McBurney explains the details of the attack and the dramatic investigation that followed. As you read, take notes on how the public viewed Tonya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan. On January 6, the figure skater Nancy Kerrigan had just finished one of her final practices before the beginning of the 1994 U.S. Figure Skating Championships. She knew that if she performed well, she would get to represent the United States at the Winter Olympics in Norway. Kerrigan was a favorite among the judges and the public. She felt confident as she left the ice at the Cobo Arena in Detroit, grabbing her jacket and a bottle of water, attaching her skate guards to her blades. Camera footage captured Kerrigan as she walked to the changing room. She parted the blue curtains and disappeared. The cameraman didn't plan on following her, not until he heard what he would later describe as blood-curdling screams. He raced into the corridor, camera still rolling, and found Kerrigan curled on the floor. She clutched her knee as she cried, why me?" She described, through tears, how a man had jumped from behind the curtain and struck her just above the knee with a big, black baton before fleeing the scene. This was a prelude to one of the biggest sports scandals in American history. TV stations around the world played the footage for their viewers. A manhunt ensued, and as everyone searched for an offender to blame for the attack, the eyes of the nation turned to Kerrigan's teammate and top competitor, Tonya Harding. Could it be that this sudden, seemingly random attack was actually orchestrated?
So stop here and answer the first question. You can press pause, and when you're finished, continue with this essay.
Parallel lives. Both Tonya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan had dedicated their lives to figure skating from a very young age. Nancy Kerrigan was raised in Stoneham, Massachusetts. Her family didn't have huge amounts of money, but they supported her dream of becoming a skater. Her father, a welder, sometimes worked 3 jobs to make ends meet. She won her first skating competition at age 9, and over the next several years, she gained national attention by winning medals in national and international competitions. Gold medals, however, always eluded her. She struggled with some of the most technical skating requirements and sometimes let her nerves interfere with her performance. Tonya Harding also came from a family with little money. She began skating at age 3. Her mother hand-sewed her competition costumes because she could not afford to buy them. Harding enjoyed skating, but she also enjoyed outdoor activities with her father, such as hunting, drag racing, and fixing cars. Despite the financial struggles and a difficult family situation, Harding knew she was meant to be a skater. She dropped out of high school in her sophomore year to train full-time. In 1991, she had her breakthrough when she became the second woman ever to land a triple axel jump in an international competition. She placed first in the 1991 U.S. Championships, although she struggled to maintain her top position in the years between this and the 1994 championship.
So pause here, guys, and answer the second question. When you're finished, you can come back.
Opposite public personas. Despite their similar backgrounds, the public had very different views of the two women. Harding may have won more medals, but Kerrigan was the media darling of American figure skating. Her graceful style and demeanor fit well with the image people believed figure skaters should resemble. She gathered corporate sponsorships, from Campbell's Soup to Revlon Cosmetics to Reebok apparel. Harding, meanwhile, gained the reputation of being an athletic tomboy who had fought her way to the top. She was an outsider and didn't attract any sponsorships. Harding once said of Kerrigan, "She was a great skater and I was a great skater, but she was treated like this queen."
Okay, so go ahead and answer the third question, then come back to the essay to continue reading.
The attack, the unwitting rivalry came to a head that fatal night in Detroit during the 1994 U.S. Figure Skating Championships. Only 2 female skaters could go on to represent the U.S. in the 1994 Winter Olympics. Harding and Kerrigan were both expected to do well in the national championships, but nothing was guaranteed. It is little wonder, then, that when Kerrigan was attacked during the final days of training, she yelled not just out of pain but frustration, "Why me?" It was an attack, seemingly without cause, on the brink of one of the most important moments of her career. This led to another question to be asked: why now? Fortunately, her knee was not seriously injured, but it was bruised badly enough that she could not compete in the championship. Harding skated beautifully and walked away with first place and a spot on the Olympic team.
Pause to answer question number 4, and then come back to the reading.
A few days after the incident, the FBI arrested the attacker. Shane Stant, a bulky, imposing man from California, had no connection to Kerrigan or Harding at all. The story didn't quite make sense. But then Stant confessed and told the FBI why he had carried out the attack. He had been hired by Tonya Harding's ex-husband, Jeff Gillooly. Gillooly had wanted to break Kerrigan's legs so she could not compete in the Olympics, but Stant had failed to complete the task. Both men were arrested and jailed, along with co-conspirators Derek Smith and Sean Eckhart, who was Harding's bodyguard. During questioning, all of the men claimed that Harding had joined them in planning the attack. Their claim was shocking. Would Harding really go to such lengths just to further her career? One of the biggest scandals in American sports history. The media seized on this unexpected story. Reporters followed Harding everywhere she went, begging for comments, hiding outside her house, and even digging through her trash. Kerrigan's every move was also followed by the news reporters and camera crews. She appeared on the cover of magazines like Time and Newsweek. Hundreds of pages of press were dedicated to the two women. It was the perfect opportunity for the media to complete the caricatures they had begun building for each woman: Tonya Harding, the scrappy, disadvantaged athlete who fought for everything she thought she deserved, and Nancy Kerrigan, the elegant, natural performer who had now, in the media's eyes, become a victim of ruthless ambition. Harding denied all involvement in the attack. She told news reporters that she had been terrified when she first got word of the incident, worried that the hitmen might come after her, too. Perhaps not surprisingly, few people believed her.
Okay, guys, stop here and answer question number 5, then come back to the text.
The intrigue continued when the committee decided that Kerrigan deserved the other slot on the Olympic team. She had recovered enough to skate in time for the big event. Harding and Kerrigan, as both teammates and competitors, as well as enemies now, according to public perception, traveled to Norway to compete on the world stage. And the world was certainly watching. Over 400 members of the press crammed into the practice rink in the days leading up to their Olympic performance. Kerrigan skated her best show yet and won the silver medal. Harding, thrown off by a last-minute difficulty with the laces on her skate, came in 8th. Their event is still one of the most watched telecasts in American history. Fallout: it is still unclear whether Harding was involved in planning the attack. Gillooly maintained that Harding had not only known about the attack, she had given the go-ahead to carry it out. Harding denied his accusations. She told the authorities that though she had known nothing about the plan to assault Kerrigan, she did delay reporting the details after discovering that Gillooly was behind the attack. Harding pleaded guilty to conspiring to hinder a prosecution and was sentenced with a $100,000 fine and 500 hours of community service. She still maintained that she knew nothing of the attack before it happened, but the United States Figure Skating Association, USFSA, saw it differently. She received a lifetime ban from the USFSA and was stripped of her first-place title from the 1994 U.S. Championships.
Stop here and answer question number 6, then come back to the text.
Harding's skating career was over. But she did not leave the public eye. She appeared as a judge on a handful of skating television shows and acted in a few low-budget films. Later, she had a brief and moderately successful career in boxing. Health problems forced her to retire and embrace a life away from the spotlight. Since the early 2000s, she has worked as a welder, painter, and hardware sales clerk in Washington state. Trial by media? The Winter Olympics rarely draws public attention beyond the 2 weeks it is televised every 4 years. And yet, even today, people still talk about Nancy Kerrigan and Tonya Harding. The media coverage made it about more than sports. In tabloids and news features, Kerrigan and Harding found themselves the subjects of a universal story about competition, ambition, victimhood, and justice. The mass appeal of this narrative is easy to see. The rivalry between Kerrigan and Harding became a pop culture trope. Sitcoms, like Seinfeld, leaned on the narrative to crack relatable jokes to their audiences. And more than 23 years after the attack, the 2017 Hollywood blockbuster movie, I, Tonya, revived the story once again. Harding briefly reappeared for TV interviews in anticipation of the movie. She reminded the public that, despite the singular narrative now ingrained in our collective consciousness, she maintains her innocence.
You can go ahead and answer question 7, then be sure to submit your work and move on to the essay question, which is next in your playlist.